people, we're back again. The two Marks with Nige at Pure Coys, just to have a chat about Wolves, about Frankfurt tomorrow, and just a bit of Spurs general chit chat. We may have some more guests coming on later on to join us. We will see. Nige, thanks for being here, mate. Appreciate you being on tonight and having a chat with us.
No worries, mate. Big up, Mark. Big up, Mark. Good to be on. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one, mate. Sheriff, how are you, mate? How has your day been? I hear a rumour you've had the grandson today for a little while.
Yeah. Grandson come and visit. Yeah, he tired me out at the park, man. Chasing him about like a madman. You know how it is. He's like crazy, man. Crazy. I can't go through that again, man. Yeah. No way. It's nice when I can give him back the daughter. There you go. Go and see your mum. Grandad's got to lie down now. Grandad's got to lie down now. He's tired.
It's all right for an hour, mate, you know.
Oh, yeah. Grandad's going for a lie down now. He's tired.
Makes the old bones creak a bit, mate.
Oh, Christ, man, yeah.
Anyway, hello in the chat. I'm sure Mark will run down and say hello to people.
Thanks. Hello to a few people if you want. Billy.
Big up, Phil.
Big up, mate.
Hope you're feeling better now, mate. Hope you're feeling better.
Corey.
Big up, Corey. Mate. Nice to see you, man.
Ellie.
Big up, Ellie. Thanks for being here.
Oh shit. I'll be honest, I forgot that was on. That's starting about now, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah. I'll grab the phone in a minute and keep an eye on the scores.
Yeah. Put the scores in the chat if you know.
Yeah.
No fake scores, though. No fake scores.
No.
You don't want none of that.
Well, I'll grab my phone wherever it is, man. I can keep an eye on it.
I am watching.
Richard's man, big up. And Nige.
Big up, Rich.
Here you go, Nige.
Big up, Nige. Yeah.
That's it for now.
Come on, then. We'll get into it a little bit. We might as well have a chat about it. Nige, give us just general thoughts. I know we've been over it on other shows, but you know, we have to talk about it. Just general thoughts about Wolves. Any selections you would have made different? You know, just what your general thoughts about the game were, mate.
Wolves just awful performance all round. It was one of those days when from the first minute we were off it, starting with Sarr giving away a silly free kick within a minute. And you just knew as soon as they scored, it was going to be one of those days. Selection-wise, I'll be honest, I probably wouldn't have done too much different because, you know, I said before the game there would be wholesale changes because it's all about Thursday. So I can't then go back on myself and say, well, I would have played him and would have played him because I probably would have done pretty much the same, to be honest.
Yeah, it was pretty dire, wasn't it, Mark? What were your thoughts, Mark, on Sunday against Wolves?
Oh my God, they scored after? Was it 90 seconds they scored? Or was that another game? It was it 90 seconds? As soon as that went in, I thought, here we go. I wish I'd turned it off then. Watch Songs of Praise or something, or whatever was on. I don't know, Antiques Roadshow or something. That's on Sunday, isn't it? You know, anything. You just knew. It was dreadful, man. Dreadful. We couldn't pass the ball. To me, to be honest, it looked like a lot of players had checked out. You know, I'm sure we're going to get into this, but like, you know, I mean, some of all four goals that they scored was mistakes, but it was comical mistakes. It wasn't even you can accept players slipping over, you know, because the boots these days ain't got the 3-inch studs like it did when we were back in the day and all that. You know, and players do slip over these days. Like it must be the boots because we never used to slip over. But But like, it's just, to me it looked like the whole team that it was just like they checked out. It's like they were already on the beach for the summer. There was, uh, we've been through this, but it was just dreadful, wasn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah, you would have thought with places, well, whether players think places are up for grabs or not is a different thing, because it seems that once the 11 that he prefers are fit, they're just in, aren't they? And anyone else that's been in is out.
Yeah.
Generally, maybe apart from Bergvall, but Gray got the bullet straight away, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think what we've seen him for about 15 minutes, isn't it, since they've all been back? So something like that. But what were your thoughts on, just generally, chaps, on how still so easily we're seeing these 4-on-2 situations? We've all seen the frames of, defenders missing, when teams are either in transition with us or on the attack, however you want to put it. I find it very weird myself that, things that are gaping, if you like, haven't been addressed, and the same things going on over and over again, where we're just getting split wide open. And to me as well, I've got to say, we say about the ball going over the top of Porro and a doggy, but teams are getting at us down the middle now as well, on the break. So, what do we do to change this? What does he have to do to change it? Because, for me, it can't carry on.
I think the only way he changes it is when he gets sacked. I don't, he's not going to change the way he plays, is he? This is what we do. And in all fairness, because the players have checked out, and I think they have, I think Mark's right, I think the players have checked out, that doesn't help, because you saw a couple of the frames and you see them, and actually sometimes it's not the fact that they've caught us wide open, it's because the players aren't tracking back. You got a player like Spence, who, if you see one of the frames that was shown, he was kind of up with his man, and then the next frame, the guy was like 20 yards in front of him because he just couldn't be bothered to get back. And
that was that the fourth goal, Nige? That was the fourth goal. I think that was the fourth goal.
I think, it could have been. It could have been.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just, we were talking about the mistakes earlier. And it's not just about the mistakes, is it? Because individual errors happen. It's from the mistake. So the Vicario punch, that wasn't the best punch, but it goes to the edge of the box. Someone then should have been on the edge of the box, closing that shot down quicker, and they wasn't. The fourth goal, when Romero loses the ball, or the third goal, someone again. Okay, Romero loses the ball, but someone should have been back. And it's almost like they're watching each other. Like, oh, it's okay, they sort it out. They're not taking responsibility on themselves. And I think, listen, Ange has to go. There's no doubt about that. But there's no doubt the players have to take a little bit of responsibility as well for their actions, for me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, yes, I honestly believe that all our players are being made look silly with the tactics. Because you can't tell me that, if we had a manager come in that played a solid tactical lineup, that we weren't 2-on-4 all the time, we weren't wide open in the middle of the park all the time. If we had that structure, like two banks of four, I'm not saying play 4-4-2 or nothing like that, but you know what I mean? Have a solid defence, have a solid midfield, them holes in that wouldn't be there. And it looks like to me they're all playing as individuals. They're not playing as a team at all. Because when one of our players loses a ball, they don't collectively you remember what we used to play like when you used to get little packs of them hunting the ball down to win it back?
Yeah.
We don't see any of that anymore. You might see one of them closing them down, but it's not like a little sort of two of them will go over or three of them will go over, and they're all like in a sort of narrow area. You know what I mean? We don't see that anymore. You know, I mean, they're just, to me, they're playing like individuals because they're not coached as a team.
Yeah, even if you watch the pressing in the last few games,
Yeah.
you know, like Mark says, you know, even if the pressing wasn't brilliant, we were sort of doing it in packs, you know, and we know that's how it's got to be done, because individually it's very rare that one will go and get the ball nicked, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's.
I'm sort of going back to the was it Conte? When we had Conte and he insisted on like hunting in packs
Yeah.
to get the ball back. You know, without being wide open, mind. I'm not saying like 8 of them go up there and like, you know, and we're sort of wide open at the back. You know, but the players to me are just playing as individuals at the moment. You know, and you know, and it. I mean, to be honest, I honestly think a lot of them are fed up with the system, the manager, and the only way it's going to change is to get rid of him. To be honest,
I mean, Go on, Mark.
No, I was going to say whether that's end of the season, Friday, who knows? Who knows?
Friday, hopefully.
Yeah, it's going to be Friday at the earliest, isn't it?
Surely we go out tomorrow night. He's got to go.
You don't know, mate. You don't know.
Surely.
I'd be
I know we've been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks. You know what I mean? But
after what we've been hearing today, I'd be sacking him win or lose, because there's something clearly going on in the camp.
Yeah. With the bits and pieces we've seen. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. Micky van der Ven put up a bit of a comment, didn't he? You know, in his interview, which was all I can say is people, you know, go on YouTube and have a look at it, and you can make your own minds up.
I don't know, mate. Did he? What was that about?
I can't remember the exact words. Nige, can you remember it?
He said he was asked why he's not playing every week.
That's it.
And he said, you're asking the wrong person. You're going to have to ask the manager why I'm not playing every week.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, digging the manager out a little bit.
Wow, yeah.
Well, he's saying he's fit. Why ain't he playing me?
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
And he was asked, do you want to play every week? And he's like, of course I want to play every week. But it's not up to me, basically. So, yeah, interesting. Arsenal just missed a penalty, by the way.
Yes. Oh, I did have a look. Hang on.
Was that Bakary, was it? Missed a penalty?
Yeah, I think he tried a Panenka and he screwed it up.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. That could be what turns the tide, couldn't it? You never know. No, something like that.
Hala Madrid. Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid, he says.
Yeah, well, can't see it, but you never know.
Nige,
yeah.
Are you seeing any shining lights at all this season from Spurs? Individually, maybe? And is there anyone that's disappointed you, not necessarily because of the manager's tactics, but just you was expecting better from them this season?
Yeah, so certainly the one shining light for me, and there is a couple, but I think there's one standout, is Lucas Bergvall. I think he's been exceptional at times. You know, don't get me wrong, he's 18, he makes mistakes, he's naive, he loses the ball sometimes, he gives the ball away in silly positions, but he's always showing for the ball. He always wants it. He's always looking to drive forward. He's always looking to be positive. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Bergvall next season with the Premier League year under his belt to see what he can do, hopefully under a new manager. So for me, he's been the one shining light.
Yeah.
Disappointment. So many of them, isn't there? But for me, I said last night, Sonny, for me, has been the biggest disappointment. You know, he's our captain, he's our leader, and I know he's not really a leader as such, but he is the South Korean captain, and I'm kind of expect, I don't expect Sonny to be shouting from the rooftops and grabbing people by the scruff of the neck. That's not him, but I do expect him in his performances to show, lead by example. Ledney King was never a shouter, but he led by example. That's what I expected from Sonny, and we're not getting it, sadly.
Yeah. Mark, what are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I agree with Nige. Bergvall, obviously, Spence, when he got his chance, but again, it was only the injuries that he got his chance. Andrew only used him when he bloody had to. That's what I can't understand.
And then when he done well, drops him again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Spence has been great. And I'll tell you someone else I feel sorry for is the young keeper that made one appearance.
Brandon Austin.
Yeah, Austin. I think we lost the game anyway, but he was man of the match, wasn't he? What, we drew or lost?
We lost 2-1, yeah.
Yeah, we lost 2-1, that's right. But he's man of the well, without him, it would have been 5 or 6-1, wouldn't it? He was man of the match. Straight after, well, it was before the game, wasn't it? We signed Nat Kinski.
Yeah.
And that Brandon Austin's like 25, 26.
Yeah.
He's been with the club since he was a kid, waiting for his chance, gets his chance. Then there's, Kinski turns up, who, in my opinion, there was no need to buy whatsoever. Because we've got about 4 or 5 keepers, I think. You go way down through the levels.
Yeah.
You see them all in the pre-season, don't you? There's Austin, is it Whiteman? He's another one.
Kinski, Austin, Whiteman, Vicario.
Josh
Keeley at Orient.
Yeah. Foster's still knocking about, isn't he? Even though he's about 60.
5 or 6 out there.
Yeah, and so I feel sorry for that Austin. He makes one appearance, does bloody well, even though we lost the game. And then he's out. I mean, but you can't really include him with like players that have impressed or like pissed you off in the season. Like Sonny, definitely. He's meant to be the captain. What I said when he was made captain, he ain't captain material. He was too nice.
Yeah,
he's too nice to be a captain. You want your captain to either lead by example or shout and scream orders. You know what I mean? He's not Tottenham, but when I think of a captain, I think of Roy Keane,
Yeah.
You wouldn't mess about with him at any stage. Anything.
I get you, Mark.
You know what I mean? Sonny, well, I've said all the time, Sonny is not a winger. He never has been. Never has been a winger. He's like an inside forward sort of thing, And Ange just shoehorns him in out on a bloody wing, It's not right. It's not right. The sooner the manager's gone, the better.
Yeah, Bergfell for me, again, not going over the top, but if you watch him, I think at the moment his biggest problem is he wants too much time on the ball. He can sometimes, he's still young, gives the ball away a lot, but again, we won't know if that's due to Harry's being asked to play now to Harry would be asked to play under someone who's actually coaching him and developing him.
Yeah.
So, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Bergvall's the greatest player we've seen for the last 10 years. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that with a bit of coaching, he could turn out to be, a very decent player for us. Because he is adjusting. It's taking him time, and I'm glad he's had a run because you can see there is big potential there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can see the potential. But I said in the summer, it's all right bringing Archie Gray, Bergvall in. Where was the first team ready players? And let's face it, when they've got their chance with this manager, and the rest of the squad are back from injury or whatever, they're out. Maybe not Bergvall so much, but certainly Archie Gray.
Yeah.
You know, he's done well. You know, even though he's not a defender, he's played all over the bloody show. But the only position he ain't played in defence is in goal. You know, he's played right across the back four, hasn't
he? Yeah.
So you know, but it's all right bringing them in, but they should be additional signings to the ones we're bringing in to make our first team better. Not just them and nothing. You know, because the only first team signing we made really last summer was Solanke.
Yeah, and he's not working out too well, is he?
And that's not good enough, in my opinion, for a club our size with the revenue and the whatever, you know, but we're not here to moan about that.
Yeah, it's do you know what I was thinking, and we spoke about this yesterday, who's been the disappointment, and I was thinking about it. If you remember, I said that I thought since Udogie had been injured and come back, even though his form had tailed off before he got injured, when he came back as well, apart from was it the Frankfurt game at home last week, he looked a bit better. But I thought I'd really been disappointed in him because I wanted him to kick on. He's one of those players that, you know, in the right system, and, you know, he done it in Italy before he came over to us. Very good, learning all the time. And, you know, it's got to be down to the manager that he's regressed so much, you know, because he looks a shadow of the player he was when he first came in. You know,
who's that, Matt? Again, I missed that.
Udogie, I'm talking about. That was what I said yesterday. Yeah. But do you know what? I've been thinking about this today, and I've spoken on the phone to a few of the lads, and you know, in the WhatsApp groups and that. And I've been thinking about it, and do you know what? The more I think about it, the more I'm actually quite disgusted in how Romero has performed over the season, considering he is meant to be a World Cup winner, leader, you know. And again, I know he's had injuries throughout the season and come back, done this and done that. But, lads, when he has been playing, apart from the odd game, has there been a lot to shout about this season with Romero?
No.
I think he's half the player that he has been. He's even lost that little bit of bite that he used to have. You know, he used to scare you when he played. You think, oh, he could get sent off at any makes. He flies into tackles. He's even lost that. Doesn't really seem to be in the game at all. He makes mistakes. You know, I think he's probably made 6 or 7 mistakes that have led to goals this year. I might be wrong, but I can think of at least 4.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
for me, he's checked out. He checked out a while ago.
And it's this, you know what? I get the bit about players' careers and all that, and you know they're looking out for themselves and all that. But could it be that he's just got to the point where he's so disillusioned with everything to do with the club? He's thought, do you know what? This is just like I'm not interested no more.
Yeah.
Is that where he's gone with it? Do you reckon?
To me, with Romero, you just got to look at his actions on Sunday. He clapped from afar to the fans, the away fans, because he did. I'm pretty certain, but he was right over the other side of the pitch, you know, because the Tottenham fans were virtually where the camera was.
Yeah.
You know, and he was over on the other side, and he clapped them like that. Didn't even go near them. Just went down the tunnel. Just went down the tunnel.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of him going down the tunnel.
Yeah. You know, so to me, and I'm sure you saw it in the WhatsApp group, there's rumours that his agent's already been on the phone to Atletico Madrid.
Well, don't know. Have you seen the other list today?
Yes.
In the WhatsApp group.
I don't know whether that's made up or not.
Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you what, right? If all that happens, that'll be a bit scary, that, wouldn't it? We've not a
But
lot
to be
coming
honest,
back the
though,
other way.
with the way we're playing and the way things are going, it's believable.
Well, to that point, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. You know, we'll see how that one works
Yeah,
out.
there we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big up, Mark Army and all that.
Yeah, Mark Army, mate. Make sure to like and subscribe, people, in the chat, please.
Yeah.
We're chasing down 350. We're on our way. So any help would be appreciated. And please subscribe to Nigel at Pure Coys, sticking out content out there for everyone.
Yeah. His link is in the top of the chat, I think. I will. And his link is in the top of the chat. I will slide his link in again.
Why not indeed? Why not indeed? Nigel, were there, from the game on Sunday, as disappointed as we all were there any positives for you at all? Sorry to ask that. If it's just a no, it's a no, Nigel. I understand.
Yeah, no, it's hard to find a positive, but I guess we scored twice. That's a positive. Richarlison got some minutes in the goal. I'm scraping the barrel here. I really am. Yeah, no, not too many. It's a game. I think it was someone said it on a stream the other day. It's another game gone. You know, we're a game closer to the end of the season. I think that's the most positive thing.
Yeah, that's fair enough, isn't it? Any positives for you, Mark, from Wolves?
Bloody hell.
I know.
Christ. I had lovely roast dinner before it kicked off.
Nice. On to the next question.
well, no, to be honest, there is no positives, but it's just what we expect now, isn't it? You know, it's difficult. Now, believe you me, right? I know we sit here moaning all the time. And everyone's going to think you're just a bunch of miserable old men. But, give me something to cheer about, and I'll cheer about it. We're all Spurs fans at the end of the day. You know, but when you see nothing, absolutely nothing to be, even slightly happy about. You know, I mean, since we started this channel, we must come across as the two most miserable old gits that have ever been,
everyone,
you know what I mean?
Now, I've got everyone in the chat. Don't listen to him. He might be speaking for himself, but for me and Nigel, we are not miserable. All right.
I was going to say,
we're not either. All right.
No, but
do a vote in the chat. Who's the most miserable?
Yeah, get a poll up.
I'm not sure how to do. I think
I was going to ask you about polls earlier. Actually,
I'll mess about with it, mate, and see what I can do.
I've worked it out. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, it was about something else, but. I think I was going to ask you to put a poll up about just tomorrow night's result, just to see what people thought. That was all. But I think Nigel one's beat that, to be honest with you. Straight in there.
Brilliant.
I love it. I'll keep talking, Mark, while you're pressing buttons in the background, mate. Hey?
Yeah, honestly, mate, I'm not sure how to do it.
It's all right, leave it, mate. Nigel, what are we going to do about our problem up front? We know Johnson can get goals with balls coming in from the left at the back post. Other than that, for me, you know, if that's your thing and he scored enough goals for you this season, that's fine. But he doesn't do enough for me in the game, Johnson. Solanke just dropping off all the time, seems to be dropping off into midfield. Then if we do get it out to where we want it, he never seems to be where we need him to be.
Yeah.
Obviously, Son's injured, I believe, and hasn't travelled to Frankfurt for tomorrow night. So what are we looking at? Odibert, Tell, Richarlison maybe on the left?
You know what? I would start Richarlison up front. because for me, he is, Solanke's done okay. And I can't believe I'm saying I'd start with Richarlison, but he gets in the box. If we're going to put balls in, Richarlison will be there, whereas Solanke isn't. Solanke's working so hard all over the pitch that he doesn't seem to ever be in the right position.
Yeah.
Whereas Richarlison, for me, set pieces as well. If we get free kicks in and around the box, Richarlison's good with his head, corners. Solanke doesn't seem to, how many corners I've not seen. Solanke scored with his head from a set piece. I know he scored against Newcastle with a diving header, but actually from a set piece, I can't remember Solanke winning too many headers.
I think Rich's headed ratio, if you work it out over the games that they've played, Rich's goal and headed ratio is better than Solanke's.
It's just more of a threat, I think, from set pieces. Listen, they're both pretty meh when it comes to strikers, but I think tomorrow, if I was going to start one, it would be Richarlison.
What would you do? What, you'd play him on the left, Nigel, and Solanke up front?
No, I'd play Richarlison through the middle.
Yeah.
I would play Kulu on the right.
Yeah.
And I would, God, it's the best of a bad bunch. I'd like to start Micky Moore, but I would think that it would probably be Odegaard on the left.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right to me as well, Nigel, to be honest with you. I'm the same. I don't know. I think, so I know it's a bit fairy tale-ish, but sometimes I think games like tomorrow night, as important as they are, can make youngsters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If ever a youngster was going to be like up and even more up for a game, it'd be a quarter final away tomorrow night to show what he's got. Do you know what I mean? But we all know that will not happen. It's the chances of that happening. God knows what the odds are, because he's got, even with Son out, he's got Odegaard and Tell in front of him, isn't he? And he could either play Richarlison on the left if he wanted to, couldn't he? Tomorrow night.
If he's really desperate, he could play Johnson there as well.
Yeah. He could play Johnson there and Kulu on the other side, couldn't he?
Yeah.
That could happen as well. Yeah. It's definitely interesting. Can I ask you, in the light of going back to Romero, in the light of his form and his attitude and being vice captain of the club, meant to be being, a leader on and off the pitch, mate, I hasten to add.
Yeah.
Would you play him tomorrow? If Danzo's fit and they've said he's trained today, just because I'm talking about overall, not necessarily as a footballer, but because of everything, our feeling of, he don't want to be here no more. So would you want to play him in a quarter final tomorrow night? And I know that is a difficult question because there's bordering factors either way, So
yeah.
I just wanted to ask to see what your thoughts were. Obviously, there's no right or wrong, and it's just what we think. But I just wanted to ask that question to both of you. I think it's quite a difficult question to answer that.
And for me, I would start him. Like I say, I'm not happy the way he's played. I think he has been poor at times. But I still think he's probably our best defender. Yes, Van der Ven for his pace. But if Romero plays well, he's a top player. So for me, he has to start.
Mark, what are your thoughts on it?
You don't really look. We're only speculating with what's going on with Romero.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I've always said, if you don't want to be at the club, get out. If your heart's not in it and you don't want to be here, just get out. Because let's face it, any of us here now would give our right arm to pull that shirt on and run out on the pitch.
Oh yeah.
You know, we would have done. We would have done. But like, if a player don't want to be here, just leave. Just leave. I mean, and to be honest, yes, he's got what, 2 Copa Americas and a World Cup. That means jack though when you're rubbish for my club. You know what I mean? Because he hasn't been performing all season, has he? Not really. The mistakes he's made.
Mm.
You know, I mean, to me, he just don't want to be here. So personally, I'd sooner, if Van der Ven's fit, I'd put Danto next to him. For me, because Romero's I don't think his head's in it anymore. You know, because for a start, if you're, as much as I understand about professional football, which is literally nothing, if your head's not in it, you're not going to perform well. You know what I mean? It's like you being in a job you don't want to do. You're not going to put maximum effort in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. So that's why I just wanted to ask it.
Yeah.
Because you know, after that on Sunday, I just think he's just like you say, he's not interested. He's become disillusioned with the club and disillusioned with everything that's going on. If you remember rightly, a few weeks ago, it was hinted that he'd had a few words about what was going on with the boss. We know that Maddison's had a word, and we know that he's not happy from his words on the bench. And I would assume, by what I see on the pitch, there are other senior players that are not happy with what's going on the pitch. You know, the Bissouma, Bentancur, they're not playing anywhere near what they were. You know, like Bissouma at Brighton, he's been a disappointment all the way through, but he's not played correctly. We know that. Bentancur's had the injuries. Very difficult to come back from an ACL. You know, I'm not saying it's impossible. Players have done it. You know, Virgil van Dijk at Liverpool, it took him a bit of time, but he got back there again. Bentancur, bit disappointing, Mark, and it has been. You know, you sort of half knew that he probably wouldn't come back to how he was before his injury. And, you know, I'm not saying he was the greatest player in the world either, but, you know, he did a few bits, didn't he?
Yeah.
You
but
know,
you got, to me, see, it all comes back to the manager. He insists they all run around like headless chickens, 100-mile-an-hour football. You know, all that 100-mile-an-hour football, yes, you're going to make mistakes when the ball's pinging about everywhere. You're not going to control it first time. You know? I mean, this is where the system, like, really lets everyone down. You know? I mean, bringing another manager that's got, certainly not this system, anything but this. You know, none of this 100-mile-an-hour football all the time. You know, gung-ho nonsense. You know what you got to do on the pitch. It's like I said, I don't think the team is a bad team. It's just the way we play and the way we're coached. You know, because we did our first show, mate. We said about the squad and where did we think we were going to end up.
Yeah.
And we put us, between 5th and 7th?
Yeah, it was.
You know, we're certainly not 15th worst, are we?
No.
In the league, as far as, like, squad goes.
Well, I had us finishing 10th at the start of the season. And all that was based on was that I'd had enough of Ange from the Chelsea game, if you remember the halfway line debacle. Yeah, with the sendings off and all that. That done it for me. I've lost my train of thought now, what I was talking about. That's mad, isn't it, Mark? No,
it's an age thing, mate. We all get that.
Yeah, I know. I've still lost my train of thought. What was we talking about again?
While you remember, we have got a question here from Luke.
Go on then.
Does Ange pick Spence? And if you were the manager, would you pick him?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd have him at left back. As mad as that sounds, I'd have him at left back, and the only reason that I'd leave the doggy out and play Porro is one, because every now and again Porro will smash one in, as we've seen him do. It's not very often, but every so often. So I'd rather have that on the pitch. And also, if Porro is further up the pitch, and Spence is not, that means we're not playing two inverted fullbacks. We're only playing one. To the
I
point
agree.
of to the point of ridiculously inverted. I'm talking about. You know what I mean, Nige? He'll still make Spence invert, but Spence doesn't do it as naturally as what Udogie does under those instructions. You know what I mean? So I think Spence will hold off a bit. I do hope he plays. To be honest with you, I think he deserves to play. I really do.
I bet he doesn't.
But I don't think he will. He'll just put
I agree.
Udogie and Porro again.
I agree. I play Spence at left back and keep Porro in the side simply for the same reason. He is the one player that's capable of hitting one in from 20 yards. He's a good free kick taker as well, and he's probably our best crosser. So Porro has to play, even though he's probably one of the worst defenders I've ever seen. And I put Spence in at left back.
Yeah.
But I don't think
it's hard to find anything to argue with there. But it's just Porro gets caught out all the time, doesn't he? When he does go up, he's not the fastest. Well, but then again, when you're up by the other team's goal or up by their penalty area, it's very, very difficult to suddenly get back like 60 yards in it in about a second. But that's just the way he's instructed. I think if a sensible manager comes in, let's face it, Udogie and Porro, they're both wing backs.
Yeah.
They were both brought in as wing backs. And that was their job, to get forward. Maybe not invert, but their job was to go forwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I do the same as what you said. Spence has definitely got to play. He's been like one of the shining lights, but only when he got his chance. Again, the manager.
Agreed, Mark. Agree with you. Totally. We'll move away.
There's a good comment as well.
Go on.
Spurs players will run out on Thursday frustrated that the hands are tied behind the back because of Ange's tactics. Yeah.
David, I totally agree with you. And it's been the same, we've seen it for ages now, mate. And I think the boss has said so many times, David, this is how we play. Whenever he's asked, you just get the same answer. It's either, there's plan A, there ain't no plan B. It's plan B is more a plan A.
But he did say that.
So what can you do if he's telling us that's what's happening? So Nige, Mark, that you're pretty much 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10 going to get the same result.
Yeah, just good evening, Psycho. Evening, mate.
Evening, mate. Nice to see you.
That's why for me, it would be lovely to have a couple of real leaders in that team. I know I'm going back into the 80s, a Graham Roberts type, Richard Goff type, who would say, you know what, Ange, this ain't working. It's not working your way. Even if you don't do it to his face, when on the pitch, say, this ain't working. We'll do it our way and we'll get through the way we get through, instead of just constantly doing these tactics.
Yeah.
I think a leader on the pitch would maybe change it a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you, Nige. I think we're so lacking in that department, and that was what I was talking about as well on Dan's last night when we was talking about the physicality and stuff like that. I don't think we've got that in us anymore. You used to have, like you say, now and again Romero would snap in, but it would be reckless. I'm talking and I know, I spoke to Phil in the WhatsApp today, and we was chatting about, the days of whispering in people's ears, Nige, and, a little toe stamp here. And, cameras are all over it now. We know they are, but, even though Ange said we don't do the dark arts, as Phil told me earlier, and he is correct, to me, tomorrow night is one of those games where dark arts will help Spurs. It has to.
Yeah, I mean, we used to. I mean, even when you were playing, I know you still. When I was playing, the amount of times I'd be marking someone, or someone be marking me, and they'd be like, "I shagged your mum last night,"
That's
just to
it.
wind you up, and
Yeah.
you do the same, and it's just to get under their skin. I'm sure they don't do that kind of thing now. It's all very nice. Like, what did you do last night, mate? You got out for dinner? Yeah, we've been now. Instead
Yeah.
of just, it should be in their faces.
All huggy in the tunnel and all that.
Yeah.
Before the game. It's like, bring me back the 80s any day, mate. Bring me back the 80s any day over this shite football that everyone plays.
Yeah, well, to be honest, the cameras are all over it now, aren't they? You can't do half of that stuff that used to go on back in the day.
Yeah. There was. Yeah, Luke, you're right. I'll go down to Luke's comment. Win at all costs, Luke. You're spot on, mate. You're spot on, and I know that some of our younger Tottenham fans maybe don't appreciate or understand that this sort of stuff used to go on big style on the pitch. Especially
and this that is look.
Yeah.
Son,
there was all sorts, and a knee in the back of the back of the top of someone's arse. Do you know what I mean? All sorts.
Well, Vinnie Jones grabbed Gazza's knackers, didn't he?
Yeah. There was you'll know, Nigel. It was physical and mentally then, wasn't it? It was like words, and physicality.
It's like when he went. Yeah, when he went down, they'd pick you up, or you pick them up, you grab them just under the armpit and just like pinch them, and I'm sure they still do it in Spain and stuff like that. But
I know. So it's going to be interesting anyway. I think availability-wise, he will pick pretty much what played in the first leg. Is that what we're assuming, chaps? Obviously, Sonny's not available, so we've got that issue. To me, we've got the Kuvalevsky. Sorry, people. Issue. Is he fit enough to play from the start?
Yeah.
And also what Luke brought up earlier, does Spence play or does he stay Doggy and Porro? I would assume it will be Bentancur, Bergvall and Maddison in midfield.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if he starts with Sarr, just because he's got legs.
Yeah.
So I could see Sarr
instead of Nige?
Possibly Bergvall.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I'm not sure it would happen, but it wouldn't surprise me if Sarr started. No excuses either, because we have a fully fit squad, bar Sonny. Danzo's back. Obviously Kulu's back.
Yeah.
So Richarlison's back. There's no excuses. We have a fully fit squad, Sonny apart. So I'm expecting a performance.
Yeah, I agree, Nige. I agree, big style, mate.
Yeah.
Mark, your thoughts?
Well, exactly what Nige said. The excuses have run out now, haven't they? They've gone. They've gone. Oh, it's the injuries. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Oh, that's gone. We got fully, like Nige said, only Sonny that hasn't travelled. So the rest of them are there. So lose tomorrow, I think. Well, I personally, I think that Ange knows he's gone. Because you can see, I haven't seen today's press conference. I don't know if any of you have. Is that even out yet? I take it it's out.
I haven't. No, I haven't
seen bits of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I take it it's out. But even in the presses he does, and the post-match ones he does now, like, you can tell he's a beaten man. He knows that his nonsense that he come here with, my way or the highway style, it doesn't work. It might work in Scotland when you got the best team anyway, but it doesn't work here. This is the big leagues now. No disrespect to Scotland, but let's face it, Celtic win the league, 14 times out of 15, 9 out of 10, Celtic will win the league. They're responsible for 60% of the whole Scottish budget in spending. That's not 60% Celtic, 40% Rangers. That's 60% Celtic, 40%, all the rest of them out there. All the rest of them, it's got to be 40 other teams, 50 other, and so they're responsible for 60%. And when you got a club like that, let's face it, they win the league every year. Rangers might win it now and again.
Yeah.
But they certainly have done for the last, 15, 20 years. They've won the league nearly every year.
Yeah.
When you go to a club like that, it's got the best players, they've got the best squad, your tactics are going to work. But they're not going to work in the Premier League, where, for a start, the managers are a lot better. And it don't. What the Wolves manager said right at the beginning, I had to play against Spurs. He spelled it out on Sky Sports after the game.
Yeah.
He said all you got to do is sit in, don't concede, and hit them on the break.
Can I just change the tack on the question a bit? Mark Jones has put a good comment down there, and it's sort of
Hang on,
right at the bottom, and it's spurred me on to ask this question, actually. Mark's put, Celtic fans warned us in Europe, and they got smashed, right? Now, leading off of that, I want to ask the question, what makes Spurs fans think on Ange Postecoglou's European record in general, not just at Spurs this year? We know we've scraped by very poor teams and lost to teams that we should have lost by a lot more by. What gives Spurs fans the minerals, if you like, to think that we're going to Frankfurt to win tomorrow? What are they believing in that we're not seeing?
I think a lot of Spurs fans, listen, most of the Spurs fans I've spoken to now are firmly Ange have seen that he's not the manager for us. But I think there are the few that are still supporting him. See these 10, 15-minute spells that we have during games and seem to think that that's enough, when more often than not, it's not. And yeah, exactly. Celtic got absolutely smashed in Europe, and that should have been a red flag in itself. As soon as teams come up, Celtic Ange teams come up against any quality, they get beat. You can be open in the Scottish League and the other leagues that he's managing because the quality's not there to finish your chances. You do it in the Premier League, you do it in Europe. You make mistakes, you get punished. Look, and that's why I'm changing the subject here. That's why I do feel a little bit sorry for Romero and Porro and players like that. It only takes one mistake and they're done. Whereas other teams, you can make a mistake and you've got other players to cover. You make a mistake at the back for Spurs, it's game over.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the Spurs fans are still, I believe, this is only my personal view, I think the fans that still believe in him is hopium. It's hopium. You know what I mean? Because you ask him to come with any facts and figures about why he should stay. You look at the records we've been setting this year, and not the good ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fewest points this, most defeats this. If you ask any of the people this Ange in, right, why should he stay? Give me some facts, and we'll listen to your side of the argument. Oh, we've had injuries, we've had this, we've had that. No, that's all gone now. The team's back. All the injuries are back. What was it last season? Oh, you wait till his second season. How's that going? We're even worse this year than we were last year. I always win something in my second season. What's that, relegation? Because let's face it, right? If Southampton, Leicester, and the other one that come up,
Yeah, Ipswich. Yeah.
Ipswich, if they hadn't been so bad, we'd have been down there as well. If one of them had done a bit better, you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, last season we finished 5th when we were top after 10 games. And I still remember it, there was a thing on Sky Sports. Top after 10 games with the percentages on there about what happens at the end of the season. 96%. If you're top after 10 games, you get top 4.
Yeah.
We do finish 5th. You know, so we're one of the 4% that didn't do it. You know? And because if you take the first 10 games out, our form after that was almost relegation form. The slide that we were on. You know? And it's continued this year, except we've got worse. Because teams rather play against us now.
Yeah.
So,
you know,
Mark, have we got any belief in tomorrow night?
Well, of course I've got belief. Of course I've got belief. I'm a Tottenham fan.
But what changes, Mark? If he's going to play the same way, what belief have you just got? Like a feeling? You just like what you were talking about? Is it just hope, or
It's hope,
or are you just seeing anything and you think, do you know what, we can do this? You know, from what I've seen, is there anything you've seen where you think, do you know what, you know, we could do this?
Well, there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever. The only thing we can hope for is that the players they've got up front of an absolute stinker, right? Which, to be honest, if you go through the games we played in Europe, I can't rattle them all off, but I've seen them on other shows. You look at the games we played in Europe, most of the other teams we played against get at least, 15 shots on goal?
Yeah.
At least. And it happens in the Premier League regularly. 25 shots on our goal in a game. I'm not saying they're all on target, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, for me, tomorrow, it's hopium. I hope we win. Can I see us doing it? Is there any evidence to say we're going to do it? Certainly not. Certainly not. There's no evidence to say we're going to go there. When was our last away win? In the Premier League, let alone bloody, you know what I mean?
It's a while back, isn't it?
That's it. For me, I look at our early form. You know, look at the fact we beat City away, we stuffed Villa, we stuffed West Ham. You know, that's what gives me hope. But that was all before Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, we've been rancid since around Christmas. You know, I remember us losing like 3 or 4 in a row around Christmas. We've been awful since then. So it is pure hope.
Yeah, it is. Big up, Mr. Lubin. How are you, sir?
All good, you?
Yeah, we're all good, mate. We're just having a little chat about you're all right, Ian. We've got through the Wolves bit already. We've done we've done that bit. You ain't got to go over. We was just talking about Frankfurt tomorrow, and is it more hopium from us that we can do it rather than, you know, have we seen anything that tells us that we can do this tomorrow? You know?
Probably not, but football is played on the day and it's who turns up, isn't it? So for me, highly unlikely, but not impossible. I'm not sitting on the fence. I think we'll lose 3-1. But if we can get the first goal, that will be crucial. If he picks the right team, that will be crucial. If he plays Spence, possibly play Porro. I was thinking about Kulu up front, but maybe play Porro there. You know, where Johnson normally plays. Play Odebear on the left, and I would play Richie instead of Solanke. So for me, I play Spence, Romero, Van der Ven Udogie, play Bergvall, Madison, and Bentancur, and I play Odebear, Richie, and Kulu.
Yeah. Is that a big worry tomorrow night, Ian? With you're saying play Udogie and play Spence at right back and leave Porro out, yeah?
Yes, I'd leave Porro out. I think Ekitike is their best player, and he drifts in from the left, and we saw what he did last week. And Ange left Spence out and played Porro there, who is not the best defensively, and within 6 minutes we're one down, and that decision has cost us. Going to Frankfurt with a 1-goal lead. For me, so
yeah. It'll be interesting. Yeah, we touched on that just before you come on here. And have you heard anything about Kuzlewski? And is he fit to play from the start?
Well, he came on for a few minutes on Sunday, didn't he? So for me, I'd throw him in. Got an opportunity there. You got Johnson on the bench. So or you could play Porro there. Technically, he's one of our best players, and he puts in a lovely cross, which is what we're lacking. And players like Solanke and Richie thrive on good balls knocked into the middle, high balls. So it's something. It's a way we don't play. Everything's got to be, edge of the box, balls inside the fullback, down the line, put it across the box. There are other ways to score a goal.
Yeah,
and we're not playing players like Richie or when he plays or Solanke to their strengths. So it's a problem. But that is, unfortunately, that is the manager. Absolutely right on the comment. Let the defenders defend first and foremost. I think we'll be pushed back. We're far better on the counter, and if we've got any chance, we should stay on the counter, keep it tight, and try and hit them and be clinical when we get the chances. Hopefully, take them. We can at least take it. For me, I'd like to see him take it to penalties. Vicario, I know he had a bad game Sunday, but for me, for 2 years, he's been excellent shot stopping, and I fancy Vicario in any penalty shootout.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Ian. I don't think we play any players to their strengths.
We don't.
Not one of them. I mean, Vicario, we know he's not the best with his feet, but they still insist on playing it out from the back.
Yeah.
Just kick the damn thing. Solanke, most of his goals at Bournemouth were scored with his head, or certainly a high percentage of him. When was the last time a high cross went in the box?
Newcastle.
God knows. God knows.
There were a few crosses that went in last Thursday against Frankfurt. That was the first time.
Yeah. But we do not play. I've said this a million times. Son and Brennan Johnson are not wingers. They never have been, never will be wingers.
Yeah.
And yet Ange shoehorns them into them positions. He's not playing. It's like a game of poker. He's not playing with the cards he's got.
No, he doesn't. He wants them to play his way.
It's his way or the highway.
That's right, rather than what suits the team.
And I take it, chaps, that the chances of him changing tomorrow are very slim, obviously.
He won't change for the rest of his life. He's just not built that way, is he?
No, he's not. He's not.
He's just not built his way. I've had a little visitor come in. He's heard me on the
the dog's back. Here he is.
He's back. He's back. Albie's here.
How are you, Albie? Speak to us. There's not a
It's
lot
the
to
whole
talk
dog.
about Tottenham, mate. So it's your time to shine, Albie.
Yeah. Oh no, Tottenham was mentioned. He had enough. He jumped off and ran out.
He was gone. He was gone.
He said, "Stop this."
He's back. He's back
again.
He's back.
Chaps, it's I don't know. It's just it's so depressing sometimes, and I don't want to sound like that, but it's so difficult when you're sitting here and you're talking, and we're all like, Ian's, we'll probably get beat 3-1. I feel the same, 3-1, 3-0, something like that. And it's okay to be positive, but to say you think we'll win when you don't win, I think is a bit disingenuous, isn't it? To come across like that, you know? I don't know. What do you think, chaps? I mean, I don't want to be one of those channels where I'm like, yeah, we're going to win 2-0, we're going to win 4-0, when I know damn well in my head we're not, you know? And that's why we try and come across straight. And I appreciate you, Ian, for saying that's what you believe will happen, because as a Tottenham fan for 60-odd years, mate, it must be hard to sit there and say that, you know, when we're talking about a European quarter-final.
Listen, it's just about being realistic. It's been a horrible season. You just got to look at where the squad were 6 years ago. You know, where are we now? April the 16th. We were off to the Etihad on the 17th, I think it was. 17th, 16th, could have even been today. 6 years ago for that quarter-final game.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was one of those, because we played City at home on the 8th, which was the Tuesday, wasn't it? And then we played them on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
Night.
Following week.
Wednesday the 3rd, Tuesday the 9th. Yeah, it was Wednesday the 17th. It was, tomorrow night 6 years ago. And wow. you just think of where the team has dropped to from there.
Yeah.
It's really upsetting. It's just been neglected. The whole club's been neglected on the footballing side by the owners. They just don't give a damn.
What is the thinking behind almost what seems like, it might sound a bit extreme, but the running down of the football side? What is that about? You know, when we're seeing wages being cut, you know, chairmen having their biggest pay packet that they've ever had, you know, scouting shocking within, you know, players, Paratici gone, Lang's come in, done nothing, Munn's done nothing, except employ Ange, which has been a disaster. You know, I suppose a lot of that, what I've just said there, answers the question, Lang, Munn, and so on, and Levy, obviously. But how do you get to that point of being, you know, challenging for the league for a couple of years running and getting to a Champions League final? You know, why hasn't someone kept the cycle running? Why has it been allowed to just fall to where we've got to now? And everyone answer, please. I'm not just talking to Ian here. You know, I'd like to hear from all of you.
I think if you have an owner who knows what he's doing football-wise, then things would move along smoothly. You've got somebody who wants success, somebody who gets a real buzz out of being successful. There's no buzz for him. It's all about the bottom line. Everything's about the bottom line, and that's the big problem. That if you had an owner who actually knew what he was doing football wise, I mean, what's he doing? Sitting back watching this nonsense all season. Seriously, you know, it's going to cost the club a fortune next season. There'll be no Europe unless we pull off. I don't know. It'll be an incredible win if we can win the Europa. It'll be superb.
Yeah, I agree.
But if you take the form since Chelsea in November 23, form's been dreadful. You know, it's getting worse and worse. So that, you know, if you look at it logically, then you think to yourself, form's getting worse. Why would we go to Frankfurt and get a result? Hopefully, you know, football has a habit of turning things upside down. And let's just hope that we have one of those nights where everything clicks and they play well. I think not having Sonny there, I think, is a plus. I think his form generally this season has not been up to speed. And, you know, this hopefully will give someone like Odebear a chance, who's got pace and runs at players. And what defenders don't like is someone running at you with pace. So we saw last Thursday that you can get at Frankfurt. So there is a glimmer of hope there. But just going back to the original point, Mark, if you had an owner that wanted success, that was driven, for success, that wanted to be iconic in the club's history, then things wouldn't have dropped the way they dropped over the last 6 years. You bring in managers like Jose and Conte, go and back them properly. If someone wants Skriniar, don't give him Rodon.
Yeah.
And if Conte wanted, was it Conte or Jose? One of them wanted Ruben Diaz. You end up getting Rodon. You want Skriniar and Diaz over the years, and you get Rodon and Longley. So, but it's not the start. It goes back 2012 when Harry wanted Cahill and Tevez, and he got Saha Nelson. Nothing's changed. Really, you go back through the years, and nothing has changed. He got rid of George Graham 1 or 2 weeks before the semi-final and brought Hoddle in. I was pleased Hoddle came in, but the timing was horrendous. Leave Graham in there till the end of the season. He got rid of Jose 6 days before the League Cup final. No guarantee would have won that, but for him, the only thing that mattered was the money from Champions League qualification.
Yeah,
we were outside the top four at the time. Mason didn't do a bad job. He won 4 out of 6, and we still finished. I think it was 3 or 4 points adrift.
Yeah,
but everything's just about the money. It's not about the glory. And this club desperately needs a trophy because you need to attract players, and players want to win things. It's not about the money with a lot of the players because they've earned the money already. They've got financial independence. Yes, of course, they want a nice big paycheck every month. But for them, as well as it's about going to a club that's going to win trophies, and they're going to win medals. They're going to have something to show in it. It's a relatively short career compared to non-sporting careers, and players want to win things. So the longer it goes, the more it's like, oh, that's Tottenham. You don't win anything. So it's really important. Tomorrow's really important.
Yeah.
That we get through.
Yeah, it's a big game. Nige and Mark, what are your thoughts?
I think Ian's spot on. I think it is all about the bottom line. You talked about us when we were in Champions League final, going for titles. I don't think Levy ever thought that was going to happen. I think that was purely Poch. Let's face it, Poch was he, third choice? He wasn't our first choice at the time. Second, was he? But
behind Blanco.
Again, yeah, but even like Dele Alli come in, I don't think anyone expected him to be as good as he was. I don't think Levy expected us to be challenging for titles and to be getting into Champions League finals. And I don't really think it was ever in his plans. It was all about building the stadium. And it's still all about that. It's still about adding to that stadium, building hotels. Football is secondary to him. And yeah, I just think the sooner he's gone, the better.
You'd think before I change tack, Mark. Sorry, give us your thoughts on it.
Well, what Ian said and Nigel said, absolutely 1,000,000% agree. But the thing is, we got to look at now is that with the revenue coming into the stadium, the football is even less important to Daniel because he props it up with the NFL and the concerts and all that. Yes, Ian said if we don't get in Europe next year, we're going to lose millions. But does that really matter when you got Beyonce and boxing there next weekend and Lord knows what goes? Look, put it this way. I don't even care what goes on in that stadium as long as for the 30, 35 times a year that we might need it, as 18 home games and about 10 or 15 cup games at the most, maybe if we're in Europe, 20 maybe. So the 30 odd, say rough estimate 40 games that we got there. I don't give a monkey's what happens the other 320 odd days of the year. Use it. Make the revenue. Bring as much as you can in. As long as all that goes back into the football side. There is no excuse whatsoever now. With the amount of revenue we had, it was only what? I don't think it was this year's. It was last year's when we had like $500 million come in. Over $500 million.
Yeah.
Like, that was our income. There is no excuses whatsoever now that we can't be up at the top of the league challenging. No excuses whatsoever. But no, it's not all about that. It's all about the profit line and the profit margin. It's all about money. They even made the new stadium cashless, so they ain't got to mess about giving you change, so they can serve more people. That's the only reason that's done. You know, because if you go to the bar and say, a pint of lager, whatever it is in there, I don't know, I've never bought one, but like £6-7, whatever it is, you give them a £20 note and they got to mess about sorting your change out.
Yeah.
That's not the person they could have served. That's why it's all cashless. Bing, off you go. Serve the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Mark, you go to Wembley Stadium, it's the same.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's all about money, Ian.
You know, it's no. I think, you know, if you did a survey of Premier League clubs, it wouldn't surprise me if you found most of them. You know, I've been to a few away grounds this season. They're all cash. They're all cashless.
All of them. They're all like that, are they? All right,
Yeah.
I'll take my comment back then.
Yeah, pretty much. So
the next question I wanted to ask, it's still on a similar subject, but when you look at things, chaps, and you see all the money that's coming in from all the other revenue, whatever it will be, if NFL, hotels, whatever it is, anything apart from football, why would you not invest over the course of 2 or 3 years? We know he's spent 300 odd million since 350 since Postecoglou's been in, right? But rather than going down the road that we've gone down with the younger players, why wouldn't we invest in the football team to make it better so that makes him more money as well? That part of it I don't get. That Ian, you might be able to explain, or Nigel, Mark. I don't get that, because I look at us now. Let's say, for argument's sake, we do finish 16th, 17th this year. In the short term, 3.5 million a place doesn't sound a lot, but straight away finishing 7th instead of 17th is £35 million. 31 million.
3.1 million.
It's quite small fry, that amount of money.
It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, Ian. It is a lot of money. But my point is, if you invested, let's say, I don't know, 6 players of around 40 to 50 million quid to bring some experience in. Now, we know about wages. We know more than anything, that's the biggest problem, the wages, because he doesn't want to put that many players on higher wages. I get what he's doing there. But on the success part of it, chaps, why wouldn't you do that? Because obviously, if you're up the top of the league regular, you're getting even more exposure worldwide. You know, more merchandise is being bought worldwide. All that money indirectly feeds its way back to Spurs. You know, so is it just a case of there's too much money in the game now and it doesn't matter to people like Levy because he has built his interests where he makes his money in other aspects of the club? So all the money that's swimming around, it's like, well, I'm making this much, I can pay myself this much, how much do I need? Or I would have thought Levy would have been the type of person he wants more and he wants more and he wants more all the time. But as far as the football side of it's concerned, obviously we know money has been spent due to shit scouting, whatever you want to call it. A lot of the players that have come in haven't, you know, been to what we want. how does that change under the current ownership? And if it doesn't, is it a case of we're just stuck with what this is until Levy goes?
Well, I don't think the recruitment has been as bad as people are making out. Let me just make one point. We mentioned about Lange earlier.
Yeah.
I think his coup in getting Bergvall for $8.5 million will turn out to be one of the transfers of the decade.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I think the guy's going to be an absolute star. I mean, first season, he's just turned 19, and he's coming in, and he's, with proper coaching. Everyone says, he runs all over the place, and he does. But there's no coaching. The team's not coached or drilled.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's made a lot of the players, I'm not saying the players are good enough to win trophies, I'm not saying that. Certainly not domestically. But they're not as bad as people think they are, because of the system's just dreadful. So for me, the problem was last year, people said, "Oh, you got rid of a lot of players. You had to get rid of them. Fine, tick. Go and get some good youngsters. We brought them in. Tick. Now go and replace the established players."
Yeah,
that's what we didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So the two areas that are important, but not as important as strengthening the first team, they were done. And players were brought in, and he cleared about 25 million off the wage bill. But he didn't buy the established players. He didn't replace Højbjerg, Skip, Emerson, Lo Celso. Didn't replace any of them.
Mm.
Brought in an extra striker. In fact, Solanke replaced Parrott. When you look at it, and it cost him an extra. I mean, Solanke was 57, Parrott was just under 7, so that's cost him 50 million in effect to replace one with the other. So, and that's been poor. That's, for me, that Solanke's not been the success that he was at Bournemouth, but then he was played in a different way, in a different system at Bournemouth.
Mm.
So, is it fair to judge any of the players on this, playing Angie's way? I mean, it's just chaos. It's just chaos. So was the recruitment as bad as we thought? Who knows? Nobody knows. You can only re-look at that maybe in 12 months' time under a new manager. And please God, if we get a good manager who drills the team and coaches the team properly, then at least you can judge the players properly. How have they done? How have they fitted in? How do they look in their proper positions? Are you playing Johnson as an inside forward? Dragusin is much better in a lower block. Porro and Udogie are wing backs. Are you going to play 3 at the back with Porro and Udogie or Spence as wing backs there? Mm. Do you play Maddison as a proper 10 behind the front 2? At the moment, because you're inverting the fullbacks into his area, he's having to drop back and pick the ball up off the back 2. How can you play 2 at the back? A centre back gets the ball. He needs 3 options minimum. These 2 fullbacks have gone flying up the pitch, so it's just him and his fellow centre back. Mm. I mean, look at the goal we conceded against Palace over at their place. Romero's on the ball. No one's close. Basuma hasn't run. Porro's too far up. He's had to sling the ball across the box to Van der Ven, who's lost the ball. The ball's finished up with Mateta scoring and Palace win 1-0. And that's just typical of what's wrong with this system. Mm. It's just dreadful. You're looking all the time for Romero to have to play a ball through the lines. Centre back shouldn't have to do that. The whole thing's wrong.
No. Yeah. Going back to what you said, Mark, about Levy spending 204, well, you said 6 players at like 40 million.
Yeah, something like that. Over the course of 2 or 3 years, I don't think anyone expects us to go bang, Mark, and buy 4 or 5.
No, but to be honest, mate, this is where Levy won't do that because that's risk.
Mm-hmm.
He's very risk averse.
Yeah,
he knows as long as he keeps us in the Premier League and charges the highest tickets in Europe, allegedly. I don't know. Obviously, I ain't got season tickets, so I don't know. But we're up there as the highest tickets, price wise.
Yeah.
He knows that money's guaranteed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's a risk. It's a risk spending 240, 300 million on the 6 players you were talking about.
Yeah.
When you're not guaranteed the returns. Doing what he's doing, having Beyonce there, having, who else is going there? Rolling Stones. There was rumours that Adele was going to do gigs there. There's the boxing next weekend, I think.
Yeah.
It won't be long before the American football's back because that's a summer sport as far as I'm knowing. It's a winter sport. Well, whatever it is, it won't be long before that's back. Probably next autumn it'll be back. You know, and all the rest of the nonsense that goes on there. The Formula One underneath. You know, everything. I've got no objection to any of that. Bring all the money in you can, but just invest it in the damn team.
Or at least some of it.
Yeah.
You know, correctly.
I mean, obviously, any business is out to make money. That's why people set businesses up. And that's all part and parcel of it. You know, but all right, football teams are a business, and no one wants to see anyone go bankrupt. You know, anything like that. But you know, for football's different. It's not a business. Well, it is a business, and it's not a business. You know, the aim of a football team is to be successful, no matter what level you're at. You know, you could be where my local team is, the National League. The aim for them is to win the National League, you know, and get out and get back into the Football League.
Yeah.
You know, or finish as high up the table as you can. You know, that should be the aim of every football team. You know,
Of course. Yeah.
But you know, Levy's too risk averse to go and stick 300 million in the team. You do it over dribs and drabs. You do it over dribs and drabs.
Yeah.
But not all at once.
So I've got a question. Could it be that obviously Levy's been lowering the wage bill? Could it be that he is, and I know I'm probably dreaming, could it be that he's getting all his ducks in a line, all his ducks in order, and he doesn't really care about this season, doesn't really care about Ange, that's why he hasn't sacked him yet, because maybe, just maybe, he might be thinking about selling up in the summer?
I think they're trying to get outside investment, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, if the wage bill was down, operating profits were up this year from 138 to 144. You know, they wrote down the assets to bring in a £26 million loss, which is a tax thing. So, you know, for me, I'm not saying there's nothing untoward about what they've done at all. They finished up with a loss, but the club, you know, the operating profit's there. So, you know, the lower the outgoings, the more attractive the club becomes to an outside investor.
Yeah, but do you think this investment is going to be just for the hotel, or is it going to be for the football team?
No, I think it's for the hotel. I think it's for White Webbs Park as well. They need to renovate.
Yeah.
They need to sort out White Webbs Park for an NFL pitch and also a ladies' pitch as well. So, you know, and I think they've got to have the hotel up for 2028 because along with Wembley, White Hart Lane they're the two stadiums in London selected by the FA for Euro 28. And I think it's in the contract that there's got to be a hotel next to where, you know, like you got hotels in, you know, you got plenty of hotels in Wembley. You've got to have a hotel in Tottenham, and they've got to get that sorted and quickly because it's going to take time to build.
So Levy's going nowhere because he's going to want to oversee that, isn't he?
Of course.
Yeah. Because let's face it, when the hotel's built, that's even more money coming into the club.
Potentially.
You know, I mean, yeah.
How many? It's a strange place to have a hotel, isn't it?
It's right at the South Stand end, isn't it?
Yeah, South Stand. Unless you gentrify the whole area, you know, it's it's a strange one. You know, you walk on and you've got the cafe at the front of the grounds that's charging like $5 for sandwiches, and it's a poor area, North Tottenham. It's a real strange one. You know, and so far all they've refurbished or regenerated is the stadium. They put Sainsbury's in and the grounds. There's not too much else that's been done. So, you know, I'm not sure how much was in the contract with Haringey Council, what they agreed in order to have the new ground built. So it's an interesting one. I think they've got to get the hotel up and running. So they've got to get some investment in there quickly.
That's funny.
Dear, oh dear. Well, I missed your question. Was I meant to answer as well?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I think you got answered quite well.
Excellent. Sorry, just had to go and get a drink. I was gasping. Let's move on to the game tomorrow night, chaps. Is there anything? You know, my thing on it is that I just want us to be a collective tomorrow night. I want us to go out and show that we're Tottenham Hotspur. I want us to fight as a collective. I will be so disappointed tomorrow if we go out with a whimper. You know, what are you looking for tomorrow night from the team and the players as a collective, as a fan? What are you looking for as a fan, and what you believe he could change to make it so we can win the game? Is there anything small that can be changed? Like Ian was saying about counter-attacking earlier, if we sat back a bit more, teams coming onto us, that type of thing. But if we're, you know, they're at home tomorrow, so they're more than likely going to be on the front foot. But we will have spells, you know we will. If we're going to have a go tomorrow, we will have a couple of spells during the game. Is that where it lies for us tomorrow?
Well, four things really for me: 100% effort, 100% total concentration, clinical in attack. There was one more, can't think. But I think they've just got to make sure they leave everything out there. Yeah. For me, and whatever will be. Nothing silly. No silly. That was the other one. No silly mistakes. Mm. Let's not make errors like we did at Wolves on Sunday. You know, we made it easy for them. At the end of the day, they didn't really have to work hard for those goals, did they?
Not really, mate.
In fairness,
no, they didn't. No. And Nigel was saying earlier, it weren't so much that the individual mistakes and losing the ball. It was what was happening afterwards, Ian, wasn't it? Leading up to, you know, a pass that was made and 4-on-2 and all. And, you know, I've never seen a centre forward, Strand Larsen, in as much space so many times in one game. It was just like he was an invisible man. He always had time and space, and I found that quite incredible, really, on Sunday. Nigel, what do you think about, you know, tomorrow
night? Very similar. No silly mistakes. Keep it tight. Don't be bombing up the pitch. Let's just stay in the game first half. Let's not give a goal away early doors. But more than anything, most of all, for me, make me proud again to be a Spurs fan.
Yeah.
Make me proud. When that final also goes, regardless of the result, make me think, yes, you know, I'm proud of the team because they did everything they could.
Yeah. Leave it all out there.
Don't go out of a whimper because that's all we see every week at the moment, every game.
Yeah.
Go on, Mark.
I'm just going to jump in.
Yeah.
Inter Milan 2, Bayern Munich 2.
Yeah.
Eric Dyer's just equalised. No. Wow. Yeah, Eric Dyer's equalised for Bayern Munich. Aggregate 4-3.
Wow.
So
What
Eric
for?
Dyer.
Who's in front aggregate now? Munich or Milan?
No, Inter Milan. The 4-3 on aggregate.
Right, got you.
And Arsenal, I believe, is 1-1.
1-1, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
But they've got
ignore that game. Ignore that game.
well, Madrid have got to score 4 now, then, haven't they? Just
Yeah,
to get
well,
extra time.
yeah. Well, but they got to score 3 more for extra time.
That's what it is.
Yeah, but tomorrow, just please do not concede in the first 2 minutes. You know, that's what's been going on in the last few games. Certainly in the first 5 or 10 minutes, do not concede. Sit in, be tight. Like Nigel said, make us proud again.
Yeah.
You know, and when they come off the pitch, win or lose, or if they lose, just say, we give it our all.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I used to go to Tottenham a lot, sort of late, I went a bit in this, well, I went a lot in the 70s, but, you know, I was a bit young and all that. But late 80s through the 90s, I went a hell of a lot to Tottenham, you know, but like, and I saw some pretty dire stuff, you know, some pretty poor, but every time I went, win, lose or draw, then players give it their all.
Yeah.
They gave it their all. You know, they left everything on the pitch.
Most of the time, Mark.
Yeah, most of the time. Most of the time. You know, because let's face it, after 91, when the team basically got ripped apart, there was some pretty dark days in the 90s. And that's when I was going a lot as well.
They weren't great. I mean, 92 and 94, I think we finished 15th.
Yeah.
14th.
Yeah.
You know, those 2 years, 93 was better. We got to the FA Cup semi-final and lost to Arsenal.
Yeah.
95, we lost to Everton in the FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah.
98, we nearly went down. Klinsmann came in at Christmas. And 99, we ended up the decade by winning the League Cup.
Yeah. But even in those dark times in the 90s, the players still gave it their all. And you could see they were trying, you know?
Mm.
Right. We got another guest, mate.
All right, Dan's here.
Hello, Dan.
Hello, Dan.
Hi, guys. You all right?
How are you, mate? You okay? We're going to move on, Dan. I'll ask you briefly, Dan. How do we get a result tomorrow night? And welcome, by the way. I hope you're okay.
Yeah, big up, mate.
Yeah, evening, guys. Hope you're all well. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, clear.
That's good. Yeah, just thought I'd pop on for a little bit. I can't stay too long. What was the question, Mark? Tomorrow?
Yeah, just how do we get a win tomorrow, Dan?
Well, have you guys run over the press conference today?
Actually, now you're here, we hadn't spoken about that. I haven't seen it. I think Nigel's seen a little bit. I don't think Mark's seen any. I don't know about Ian.
No, I've not seen it.
No, I've seen none of it.
We all know sun's out, don't we? You all know.
Yeah.
That. Yeah. Did you hear what Van der Ven said?
Yes.
Yes. Did hear that? Yeah. Yeah. About
what
playing.
Did you make it? What did you make of that?
For me, it was a dig at the manager, Dan. You know, the way he's come across. I mean, I might have took it totally wrong, but the way I saw it was that I'm fit, but he don't pick me. Obviously, because he's worried about his leg, I suppose. I don't know, but he's saying he's fit. I'm fit to play every game. That was what he said.
Yeah, he's on his way, and the players know he's on his way.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think there's been a big fallout in there, Ian?
Oh, for sure. For sure. They're not playing for him. You can see they're not playing for him.
No, I agree. But because of the occasion tomorrow night, Ian and Dan, does that all go out the window? Because it is a European quarter-final. You know, does pride as a player take over tomorrow night? For me, it does.
You hope so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for
Big
me,
up, Brett.
big star. You know, Dan, carry on. Where was you before you got cut off?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my internet. It's very, you guys keep disappearing. Very strange. Hopefully it will stop now. But yeah, tomorrow's just all about this, about the game, isn't it? The players have just, this is all they've got left now, isn't it? You know, if they want to win anything this season, they've got to put it all in. I mean, you're just going to have to hope that they're going to have the game of their lives. You know, we have to see a different Spurs, not the Spurs we've seen this season. Can we do it? Yeah, we can. Of course we can. If we turn up, cut out those mistakes. You just hope that Ange has got some kind of game plan. I know he probably hasn't, but you just have to, you're going to have to ride out the first 15, 20 minutes. Keep it tight, you know, defend,
Agree.
stay in the game, and then take our chances when we get them. I mean, I'm not too fussed about Sonny missing, to be honest, because he's been so out of form.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy for another player to come in and have a go, Tell or Wilson on that left. So hopefully Kulusevski will play, and then maybe Johnson can come on in the second half if we need some fresh legs. Now, look, it's tough. Their manager spoke today, and he kind of warned us that yeah, we're going to be in for a bit of a shock. You know, they've got a really lively crowd. They're a good side. I didn't think they were amazing last week, but they came away with a point with a good game plan. You know, they sat in there, defended, and attacked carefully. I mean, sorry, they attacked when they had their chances. So look, uh, it's just one of those games, isn't it? Where you just have to hope that we somehow put it all together. You know, we've got to take our chances when we get them. We've got to show spirit, fight, passion, all of what we haven't seen this season. So, guys, look, who knows? It's a cup match. Anything can happen in a cup match. We just have to pray that we turn up. We all want to win. Well, we all know we don't back the manager, but we want to win this game, and I'll be fully behind them. I'm sure everyone will.
Yeah, yeah, we sure will be, mate. We sure will be. Now I know we've had this question on numerous channels that I'm going to ask now, but you know I've got to do the rounds with it. When do you foresee the manager going? And if he wins the Europa League, does he stay next season for any of you? If not, who would you like to see in? Because we've heard 2 or 3 different names from managers that are in the Premier League. Is there anyone outside the box that anyone fancies if and when they think the manager's gone? And anyone can go.
If we lose tomorrow night, I see him gone for the weekend. If he wins the Europa League, I still see him gone. Because I you know, you look at how the players are, you see things like the Van der Ven interview today.
Yeah.
I think there's a major split between him and the players. Who would I like? Frank or Glasner?
Okay.
One or the other.
Just for tactics and stability reasons, Ian, more than anything, or just because they're coaches? What?
I think they're decent coaches, and we're not going to get. You're not going to go and get someone of the caliber of Ancelotti, and you don't want somebody of that caliber because they won't be backed anyway. But just to get the club back on an even keel, for me, that's where I'd be. That's where I'd be looking.
Yeah, Nige, Dan. I think. Yeah, no, Dan's still here. Yeah, Dan, what are you thinking, Nige? Mark.
What about the manager going?
Yeah, where do you think he'll go? When do you think he will go, or do you think he will stay if they win the Europa League? And if he does go, who would you like to see?
Well, I think if we win the Europa League, there'll be a massive chance that he's here next summer. But again, I mean, if the club had any footballing brain, they would have realised that it's not working. The truth is the league positions, isn't it? The performances generally over the season. So you would have hoped that somebody would say, okay, fair enough, Ange, you won that cup, but we need to get another manager in to bring us forward. But massive chance that if he wins that Europa League, he's going to be here next year, which you kind of have to accept. It'll be the first European trophy in 40 years. Gets us in the Champions League. We kind of understand it, but I mean, I don't want him here. Even if we win the Europa League, I've seen enough. Managers coming in. I mean, have you seen what's happened today with Palace? I've seen.
Go on.
I think they've been
Stuff.
thrashed.
Yeah, it's one game, Dan, isn't it? It's one. Listen, it's 10 goals in 2 games. I know that, but
Yeah.
he's had a great run up to them, hasn't he?
It's
5-0.
isn't it? As soon as they're linked to Spurs,
Yeah.
these managers they tail off.
Spurs, he's setting already with him.
They don't want the job, do they? Can't let him 5. I don't want to go there.
Yeah. Just go
Newcastle are
out.
a good team though.
Nige, what do you think, mate?
Well, if we lose tomorrow, I'd like to see him go on about 10 p.m. But I think there's a good chance he may be here to the end of the season. Regardless, even if we lose tomorrow, I can see him being here to the end of the season now. As for managers to take over, I will continue to bang the Terzic drum. I think he'd be a good manager for Spurs. He's not your big name, but he's managed in good leagues. He plays a good style of football. Yes, he's a bit more defensive, but surely that's what we want. We don't want to be going too gung-ho. And, he took Dortmund to a Champions League final. So I think he's got the credentials. He works well with young players, and he's a young coach himself. My only reservation is that he's not managed in the Premier League, but he has worked in the Premier League with West Ham under Bilic. So, Terzic would be my man.
Yeah, Mark, we know who you want, but you're not.
Hang on. No. Well,
Go on, Mark. Get in there.
no. Well, no. He's not coming anyway. He's
Right.
not coming. He's got the World Cup to concentrate on with the USA. So that's ideally who I'd love.
Yeah.
But I don't want him to come in and Levy screws him over again by not backing him and all that,
Yeah.
So for me, really, it's out of Thomas Frank or Iriola. Because they both got a settled style of play. They both massively overachieved with what they've got at their respectable clubs. I said this. I've said this on many shows. I'm not being disrespectful to Bournemouth, but let's face it, their ground fits in our south stand, all of it. And what he's had there, the limits of the club, and the structure of the club, the income that the club have got, he's done bloody wonders there. You know what I mean? And it's the same with Brentford as well,
Yeah.
because they're not on the level that we are. All right, they're above us, but so is most teams in the Premier League. But they're not on the stature that we should be at. And they're both overachieving with what they've got there. So anybody like that, just come in, settle us down, assess the players to see which ones are good enough, play a sensible system. I don't care what system it is, 3 at the back, 4 at the back. But if it's 4 at the back, just play with bloody left, a left back and a right back.
Yeah.
Not the bloody full backs as 2 number 10s, whatever he does. Make us solid at the back. Make us solid in the middle. And just find a way to make us play football. Play the players in the right position. So, for me, as much as I'd love Pochettino back, because he made me proud, he's the manager that made me proud to be a Tottenham fan. All right, he didn't win nothing. but I was proud. I was proud to go out with my Spurs shirt on, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but I can't see him coming back before the World Cup. So just Iriola or Thomas Frank for me.
Yeah.
You know, because
So
I'm sure
guys,
we could get either of them.
I just want to
yeah,
coach. I just want to
Yeah.
coach. I don't want to. I don't want to pick a coach out but I just want someone that's going to come and coach players. I think that's imperative to
Yeah.
us. You know, have a coach come in with his coaches, with his people. You know, whoever comes, they should be allowed to bring that. And I think, you know, with a brand, if you like, a system, a tactic that the players can buy into, and not necessarily the same tactic every week, but someone who can, you know, just change things around a little bit when it isn't going quite right. You know, I think we need that badly, more than anything else, because I really don't think these players are being coached. I think we can all see that.
Yeah.
And if they are, all I can say is the coaching is very substandard. It's very poor.
Big up Mr. Taylor in the chat.
Big up,
Another
Mark.
one of the Mark Army.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a difficult situation. You know, the season rides on tomorrow night. You know, I think we can all agree on that. And use Mark's sentiment that, you know, we all want to win. You know, I have to emphasise that on every stream, because sometimes it can seem like we're coming across so negatively, and we do want our team to win, but we just want better for our team as well. You know, so anyway, we'll have a quick go round, see what you think. I'm going, unfortunately, 3-1 Frankfurt. I think it could just be too much for us tomorrow night. Obviously, it depends on the attitude that they're going out with out on the pitch. I think, you know, the attitude will make a big difference. And if they can't get up for it tomorrow night, even regardless of, you know, the manager or the problems, what they think they've got at the club or they have got at the club, I think they've just got to go out there and show that, you know, they're proud to wear that Tottenham Hotspur shirt. It's one of them games tomorrow night that I think that's required from us. You know, I know we've gone over it briefly. I don't know what you chaps think. Is there anyone that you want to see tomorrow night and you think, go on then, turn it on tomorrow, let's have some of you? Is there anyone in that team? I mean, Bergvall comes to my mind. I want to see him do so well, and like Ian says, you can see he's got it. Everything's there, you know, and it needs someone to come in and just refine him. You know, he's got it in the locker. I'd love to see him have a cracking game tomorrow night. That'd be nice. Whether that can happen or not in the manic midfield system that is Ange Postecoglou is a different matter. But, you know, everyone on their day, and it happens very strangely at weird times sometimes, you know, a player will turn it on for you, win you the game. And I hope that it's one of ours tomorrow night that does something special and nicks a couple of goals and can get us through, you know. But, you know, the general thing that I'm feeling is there'll be too much for us. I hope we don't fold early, but I've got a feeling we might. And my scoreline prediction is 3-1 to Frankfurt. I think that's what it will be. Anyone else? I think we've done this once, haven't we? I can't remember.
Guys, so would you kind of secure that midfield up a bit more tomorrow? Or would you be playing with Maddison and Bergvall and just going for it? Or what would you do? Now, I think a sensible thing is to be a bit more cautious.
Yeah.
But Ange, he's just, I don't know. I just don't think he's going to set us up that way. You know, play with more defensive type midfielders in there. Still play Maddison, of course. ahead of them and just tighten it up a bit? Or is it bit too big of a risk throwing in Bergvall and Madison into this away game? Is that going to leave us too open? Guys, just give us your thoughts.
I think this is an interesting one because we have literally a full fit squad. So it wouldn't surprise me if, I don't think it happened, but it wouldn't surprise me if he played Sarr and if he played Kulu in the middle and he dropped Madison altogether and Bergvall.
Well,
Oh wow!
I don't think it happened, but it wouldn't surprise me because, you know, when Kulu was fit, he tended to play more than Madison. So it wouldn't surprise me if Madison's left out tomorrow, but I'd be disappointed if that was the case.
Mm.
Good night, Matt.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? All I would like us to do, I think Dan's right, is be a little bit more pragmatic tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just set up, not to concede, right? I just got this feeling the way, because he won't change how he plays, I think that the only way we get something out of this tomorrow is if we defend properly and, like Ian said earlier on, hit them on the counter. I think that's us all over tomorrow. I think possession for us tomorrow is I think they'll have more possession than us.
I think that's irrelevant, to be honest. I don't think it matters, does it? We had 62% on Sunday. We lost 4-2.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it tight, concentrate. Don't want to play just for the draw. We sat back against Liverpool at Anfield and just defended, and they scored after half an hour, and then the floodgates opened. Don't want to see that sort of performance. Let's also take it to them. Let's keep it tight. Nothing silly. Let's just see if we can hit them on the break.
Yeah. I think if they score in the first 10 minutes, that could be game over.
Could be.
The floodgates will open because we'll have to come out and try and attack them then. Yeah. And then we'll just go back to Ange ball, and that'll be the end of it.
The longer it stays 0-0, the more the crowd calm down.
Yeah, of course.
And better for us.
Players like Solanke, they need to get in the box. They need to stay in around the box, Solanke. He can't be running all over the pitch everywhere. He needs to get.
That's how he plays, then. That's how Ange plays. That's the problem.
Yeah. Would you, Ian? You would stick him up in there, wouldn't you? I'll stick him up in and around the box.
I'd play Richie tomorrow, to be honest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have Solanke start. I'd have Richarlison.
Do you think Solanke might start up front and he puts Richarlison on the left, Ian?
No, I don't. I think he'll play either Odebear or. I mean, we've forgotten about Tellers, well, haven't we? You look at Ange as a creature of habit. So the team sort of do my team and what I think he'll play. Vicario, I would start with Spence. He'll start with Porro. The other three speak for themselves. Midfield, I think he'll play Madison, Bergvall, and Bentancur. Mm-hmm. And up front, I would play Kulu, Odebear, and Richie. And I think he will probably end up playing Odebear, Solanke, and Tell.
Yeah. Odebear, Solanke, and
so the sort of four changes, I think.
Yeah.
But you're right, Ian, though, playing Richarlison, because he did score the other day, and Solanke hasn't scored since January. So you should really play a striker who at least scored.
Solanke's come back, Dan, from injury, and he's not the same player.
Yeah.
He's just levels below. I mean, listen, he was doing okay. It wasn't fantastic before he got injured. But you look at, the goal he scored against Chelsea to put us 1-up. He scored a nice goal against Liverpool, scored 2 goals against Villa. He scores against decent teams. It's not the bottom clubs that he's scoring against. But since he came back from the injury, he just doesn't look doesn't look the same player.
Yeah. Well, listen, chaps, it's going to be difficult tomorrow. I've got no doubt about that. Like we all said, let's just hope our Tottenham turn up tomorrow and make us all proud, Ian and Dan and Nigel and Mark.
Mark, wouldn't it be nice to come on and talk about a win? And
oh, mate, I'd be straight on here tomorrow night. Honestly, I would be. I'd love it, mate. Wouldn't it be great to say Tottenham are in the semi-finals of the UEFA Cup?
It would.
Eh? It'd be amazing. On that note, chaps, I've got to say it's been a great show. To talk again for the best part of 2 hours about Tottenham tonight, you know, with a UEFA Cup game coming up again tomorrow, it's been great. And I'd just like to say, I think on behalf of all of us, you know, come on, you Spurs, tomorrow night. You can do it. Just let's have a go. Let's have a go at them. Let's have a go. Let them know we're here. Big thanks to Nige. Please subscribe to Nige at Pure Coys. He's doing some great stuff. To Dan at the Danalist, thanks for coming on, mate. We appreciate it. Please subscribe to Dan. Also doing great work. Ian, are you on Twitter? Is that what you're?
I am at Lubo_61.
Yeah, so get over to Ian. He puts plenty out there as well. A great show, as usual, chaps. Thank you all for being here. Thank for all the chat for being here. Please subscribe to the 2 Marks as well. We're on the way to 350. Please smash a sub on there. Hit the notification bell. We've got some great stuff coming out soon. As always, it's a good night from me.
And it's a good night from him.
Good night, everyone. Cheers.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.